markets. It's continuing today as well. So roughly speaking, you've got two stocks advancing for every one that is declining. Lots of activity and action in the broader markets, in the mid-cap and the small-cap space. Well, that's exactly what we are going to be focusing on. So let's get the conversations rolling straight away. Mr. Sumit Chuganee is with us right here from Sabero Organics to talk about how the business is shaping up at this juncture. Sumit, thanks so much for dropping by once again. We spoke to you just a couple of weeks back when we were trying to gauge the growth aspects, so the growth prospects of the company going forward. The stock has been very excited, and that time we were talking about how registrations are a little time consuming in your line of business. Is there any fresh trigger that you can tell us about that perhaps investors are right now latching on to or hoping for in the immediate future?
Well, we have a particular strategy in place. Okay, it's a short-term, medium-term, and a long-term strategy. So I think we are executing our strategy. Of course, as we said, the registrations are a long-term process, but the fact is that it's a process that has started over the last couple of years, and so we just got our registration for a fungicide active ingredient in Brazil.
When was this?
That was in December actually.
Okay.
And we're expecting the formulation registration in March. So once that happens, that would be our entry into that market. But broadly speaking, our strategy is based on product introductions as well as geographical expansion. So in terms of product introductions, we introduced two new products last year. One is an insecticide and one is a fungicide. So those will again add to the growth of the next financial year. In the next financial year, we're introducing again three new products. And again, one is an insecticide, one is a herbicide, and one is a fungicide. So as we introduce these new products, we have more products to sell. In terms of geographical expansion, we have a substantial investment in registrations in Europe.
Correct.
So again, that's a long-term play. So those registrations will come, let's say in 2012, but the investments are being made today.
What kind of products are these, the ones that you will be introducing in the new fiscal? Are they roughly on the lines of what you already have in the market, or could they actually fetch you better returns, better margins?
Well, in general, we focus on products that give us about 20% EBITDA, so they fall within that range.
Okay.
Once again, they fall into the broad segments of fungicides, herbicides, and insecticides.
Okay.
So just new products. Maybe they target a different crop, like maybe a herbicide that's targeting more rice, as opposed to a wheat herbicide. So maybe crop specific. Some of them are broad spectrum across a variety of crops. So just new products.
So what will these fresh launches mean for the top line in terms of growth? How much would you hope to add on?
Right. I think in the next financial year, our top line growth would be around 25%, 20 to 25%. We are also currently in the process of doing a kind of market study on a new chemistry of products, which will envisage an investment of about 50 crores. I think we'll make a decision on that project sometime during this quarter, and that new investment would start producing perhaps in the last quarter of next financial year. So that will give us a little bit bigger jump than in the next financial year.
250 crores.
I think we can safely assume about a 3 to 4 times sales to investment ratio for that. So.
And how will you be funding this new project?
A combination of internal accruals as well as some debt, which we're currently in the process of raising.
Okay, so what would the debt levels be within the company right now? What's the gearing ratio? And for this project itself, what will be the rough mix that you will be comfortable with, the internal accruals versus debt?
Yeah, so in general, we are comfortable with an overall debt equity ratio of 1:1.
Okay. Is that where you are right now?
Yeah, a little bit. When I say debt, it's a combination of working capital and long-term debt. So if you look at long-term debt, then it's today we hardly have any long-term debt on the books.
Okay.
But when you combine the two, what shows up in the balance sheet, 1:1, long-term and short-term debt to equity seems, very doable.
All right, Sumit, finally, any kind of inorganic growth you have in mind, any acquisitions on the radar? Because that's typically when the market gets very excited. Yeah. And your stock's been shooting up quite interestingly.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that's a part of the strategy, but I think there's nothing, in the pocket right now. But I think distribution in the US could be an interesting, distribution in the US or Europe is an area that we are interested in. But I think right now we're just concentrating on our own internal building up assets internally, registrations, and building the business organically. But I think that's something we're going to look at maybe in the next financial year. All
right, good luck with that then. Thanks so much for dropping by today and sharing some thoughts on the business.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that is Sabero Organics, how they're looking at the next couple of months and what kind of growth targets they're working with. We'll take a short break on that note. Back with more on the other side. Stay tuned.